Before this story begins, ask yourself something honestly. Have you ever loved someone deeply, but still felt emotionally distant from them? Not because of cheating, not because of fighting, but because life slowly turned your relationship into routine. If you've ever felt that quiet distance, this story will stay with you. And before we begin, subscribe to the channel and stay until the end. Because this isn't just a story about marriage. It's about what happens when two people stop truly seeing each other and what it takes to reconnect before it's too late. Emily had carried the question inside her for months. It followed her through ordinary mornings, long workdays, and silent evenings beside her husband, Daniel. From the outside, their marriage looked perfect. They lived in Portland, had stable careers, a beautiful home, and 12 years of memories together. There were no huge fights, no betrayal, no obvious problems, but deep inside, Emily felt something fading. Years earlier, she and Daniel used to talk for hours about dreams, fears, and the future. They laughed constantly. Daniel noticed everything about her, even the smallest changes in her mood. Back then, she felt truly seen. Now their conversations sounded different. Did you pay the bill? What time is your meeting? What should we eat tonight? They still functioned well together, but emotionally, they felt far apart. One rainy evening, Daniel cooked dinner while Emily sat quietly watching him move around the kitchen. She still loved him deeply, but she missed feeling connected to him. During dinner, they talked about normal things, work, neighbors, errands, but every conversation stayed on the surface. Later, they sat together in the living room with tea while rain tapped softly against the windows. Daniel looked comfortable in the silence. Emily wasn't. Her heart pounded as the question returned again. Finally, she placed her mug down. "Daniel, can I ask you something?" He looked up immediately. "Of course." Emily hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Are you happy with us?" The room became still. Daniel blinked in surprise. "That's a big question." "I know." He leaned back and thought carefully. "I mean, yeah, we're doing okay. Life is stable. We don't fight much." Emily nodded slowly, but his answer hurt more than she expected. Stability used to feel comforting. Now it felt like distance. "I think we're good partners," she said softly. "But sometimes I feel like we stopped really knowing each other." Daniel frowned slightly. "What do you mean?" Emily searched for the right words. "I feel like we live beside each other instead of with each other. We handle life well, but I miss feeling emotionally close." Daniel looked down quietly. "I didn't realize you felt that way." "I don't think I fully realized it either," she admitted. "It just happened slowly." Rain pressed harder against the windows. Emily swallowed hard before continuing. "I'm not blaming you. I think we both got comfortable. We stopped asking questions. We stopped being curious about each other." Daniel sighed softly. "Relationships change, Emily." "I know," she replied. "But change doesn't have to mean distance." Her voice trembled now. "I miss talking to you. I miss feeling connected. I want to fall in love with my husband again." The vulnerability in her words changed everything. Daniel stood near the window for a long moment, staring at the rain. Finally, he asked quietly, "Are you unhappy with me?" The question hurt her deeply. "No," she said immediately. "I'm just scared of losing us quietly." Silence filled the room again. Then Emily spoke softly. "What if we started choosing each other again?" Daniel turned toward her. "How?" "By being honest, spending real time together, learning who we've become instead of assuming we already know." Daniel sat down slowly. For the first time that night, he looked at her differently, carefully, thoughtfully. "I thought things were fine," he admitted. "I thought stability meant I was doing my job." "You are," Emily said gently. "You've always been dependable, but love needs attention, not just time." That sentence stayed with him. Later that night, neither of them slept easily. Emily stared at the ceiling, wondering if honesty had changed everything. Beside her, Daniel stayed awake too. Both of them realized something important. Their marriage had reached a turning point. The next morning, Emily woke up and reached across the bed. Daniel wasn't there. Panic hit her chest for a second until she heard movement downstairs. She walked into the kitchen and found Daniel standing beside 2 cups of coffee. He looked thoughtful. "I took the day off work," he said. Emily blinked in surprise. "You did?" He nodded. "I kept thinking about what you said last night." She sat across from him quietly. Daniel took a deep breath. "For years I focused on stability, work, bills, responsibilities. I thought that meant everything was okay." He looked directly at her. "But somewhere along the way, I stopped asking if we were still emotionally close." Emily felt tears fill her eyes. Daniel smiled nervously. "So I made a decision." "What decision?" He looked at her carefully. "Today is our first date." Emily laughed softly through tears. "Our first date?" "Yeah," he said, not repeating the past. A new first date between 2 people meeting again after 12 years. An hour later, they walked together along Portland's waterfront beneath clear skies after the rain. At first, conversation felt awkward. Then Daniel asked, "What's something you've wanted lately that you never told me?" Emily smiled. "I've wanted to take a photography class." Daniel looked surprised. "Really? I didn't know that." "I never mentioned it." He smiled gently. "It sounds like you." The simple exchange felt refreshing. For the rest of the day, they asked each other real questions again. What made them nervous now? What dreams still mattered? What had changed about them over the years? Emily learned Daniel often felt pressure to always appear strong. Daniel learned Emily didn't need perfection. She needed emotional presence. At lunch, Daniel admitted something painful. "I stopped asking deep questions because I assumed I already knew you." Emily nodded sadly. "And I stopped sharing things because I thought you were too busy." Both of them realized the same thing. Nothing dramatic had damaged their marriage. Only small assumptions repeated over time. As the weeks passed, their relationship slowly changed, not through grand romantic gestures, through small intentional choices. Phones disappeared during dinner. Weekly walks became important. Conversations became honest again. And when old habits returned, they noticed faster. One stressful evening, Daniel gently said, "We're doing it again." "Doing what?" Emily asked. "Letting routine replace connection." Instead of feeling criticized, she felt grateful. Now they were protecting the relationship together. Months later, they sat on their porch watching the sunset. Emily rested her head on Daniel's shoulder and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Peace. Not because life was perfect, but because they had found each other again, emotionally. Daniel intertwined his fingers with hers. "You know," he said softly, "that question you asked changed everything." Emily smiled faintly. "I almost never asked it." "I'm glad you did," he replied. "It reminded me that love isn't automatic." She looked at him quietly. "It's something we keep choosing." And at that moment, Emily realized something important. Love doesn't usually disappear all at once. It fades quietly through routine, silence, and emotional distance. But sometimes, one honest conversation can bring 2 people back to each other before it's too late. So if this story touched you, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. Because lasting love isn't about never changing. It's about continuing to choose each other, even after years together.